Hello chess fans, this is Rick from Chess to Progress with my 100th video for Chess to Progress and number 50 in the series Viewers Games. Before we get into this game, I'd like to talk a little bit about the channel. I've done 100 videos now on Chess to Progress. As most of you probably know, I also have my Chess to Impress channel. And Chess to Progress is aimed, when I set it up, it is aimed at more improving players. And I've done series on checkmate in the opening, I've done series on tactics, series on endgames and series on classic games from the past, and this series of viewers games. I know that lately I've only done viewers games to try and get rid of the backlog, and I'll tell you later about the waiting list. I have all the names lined up so you can see if you're waiting for a game where your position is on the waiting list. But I must say that the interest in the videos on Chess to Progress has been declining in recent months. I set myself a goal when I started to try and get at least 1,000 views on every video. I thought it was a nice round number, and I have not been able to achieve that. Some videos have done 1,000 or more, but most of them have not. And I've seen a decline in views recently. It was always around 400 views per video, and now it's barely hitting the 200 mark. So that tells me that the chess community on YouTube is not really that interested anymore in what I'm doing on Chess to Progress. More and more people are dropping off. So I have to think about what I'm going to do with this channel. Do I let it go and focus just on the Chess to Impress channel? Or is there still a future for Chess to Progress? I will definitely keep going with the viewers games still. I've got rid of the backlog of 71 viewers games. I promised I would do a video on every game that was sent to me, and you have to keep your promise, so I will keep my promise. So I will do those 71. I'm asking you to, if you see this video, to not send me any more games. I want to get rid of that backlog of 71 and then see if I will keep going with viewers games or if I will do something else. So I will keep going with the viewers games. I also will have to make sure I do some other videos for Chess to Progress as well, not just viewers games. And I'm gonna do a few live streams for players under 1500 rating on Lichess. I've done a few live streams for Chess to Impress. It's good fun. An hour playing a tournament for an hour on Lichess. And I'm gonna do one for Chess to Progress as well with a rating limit, just to see if it works and see if it's something that the Chess to Progress community likes, and if I can get some more interest in the channel that way. So keep an eye out for those. If you have any ideas about what I could do on Chess to Progress, as I said, this is the channel that is aimed at more improving and more junior players. Any other things I could do that you might like and that might increase the interest in the channel, please let me know in the comments. That would be great. And keep an eye out for those live stream announcements. I'm looking forward to see how that goes. Anyway, enough talk. Let's play some chess. This is viewers game number 50, and it was sent to me by Trace from Texas in the USA. And I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. Is it Trace or is it Tracy? He has a Spanish looking last name, so maybe it's Trace. Anyway, I'll stick to Trace, and I apologize if I pronounce that incorrectly. Trace says, first of all, I would like to say thank you for your videos. I have learned a lot and tried to implement that knowledge every time I play. This game was against Carlos, and he says, Carlos and I are good friends and we play in person, so over the board. Carlos thought it was a little strange that I was writing down the moves of this game, but I said it was so I can learn from my mistakes. I see you are getting more popular, and I'm excited for you. Well, Trace, I'm not getting more popular. That was what I just tried to explain. But thanks anyway. I'm also excited to see what you make of my game. I'm from Texas in the US, and I was rated about 1300 at the time. Though that was an untimed, unrated game. Yes, this game was unrated. So it was played over the board with Trace's friend Carlos. Trace was white and opened e4, and Carlos played a Nimzowitsch defense with knight c6. d4, and here d5 is the main move, but Carlos played e5, which is also a main move. Not as popular as d5 though. White played d5, and here knight ce7 is the main move, but Carlos played knight a5. Knight f3 from Trace, knight f6 from Carlos, knight c3, bishop b4, pinning that knight, bishop d2, solving the pin, and c6. You can ask the question, can white take on e5? Well, he can, but then castling is the best response, and black has compensation for the pawn and will probably even win a pawn back. But Trace did not take on e5, he played bishop d3. Black castled, white castled, and here a move like d6 is the best move. Solid move, protecting the e5 pawn, and we have an equal position, everything to play for. But Carlos decided to take on c3, voluntarily giving up the bishop pair. Trace took, and now it's really time to play d6 to protect that pawn on e5. But Carlos played b6. Trace took, that's now a healthy pawn that white has won. C takes d5, e takes d5, and now Carlos played d6. You cannot take the pawn on d5 because of bishop e4, and this is a very nasty pin, and the knight is attacked twice, so this is very bad for black. So d6 was played, kicking the bishop. Bishop went back to c3. And we constantly have to look at, can we take on d5? That's why I gave this video the title When to Capture. You can take on d5, but then there is bishop takes h7 check with a discovered attack on the knight. And when the king takes back, queen takes d5, and white has a very good position. So after bishop c3, Carlos did not take on d5, he played a6, queen d2, and again taking on d5 is not great because of bishop takes h7, and Carlos probably saw that and played h6, so that if there is ever bishop h7, it doesn't cost him a pawn. Trace played knight d4, and again we have to look at knight takes d5. It's still not great. A good variation here is bishop takes a5, b takes, and then again bishop e4 as we saw. And again, this is a unpleasant pin. This is good for white as well. So after knight d4, Carlos played queen c7, b4, kicking the knight, and here actually knight takes d5 is a good move, because if you take the knight, this bishop is attacked twice and only defended once. So queen takes c3 is a good move here. Queen takes, knight takes, a takes b6, and for example rook b8, and suddenly black has some compensation for the pawn. That was after b4 and then knight takes d5. So that pawn was always hanging, and in some variations on some moves it was not good to take it, but in this variation, because the queen is attacking the knight on the bishop on c3, and knight takes d5 would also attack that piece. So for tactical reasons, it was good at this moment to take the pawn on d5. But Carlos didn't do it. He retreated his knight that was attacked by the pawn. Rook fe1, and we have to look again at knight takes d5. Does it make sense now? Well, now it makes less sense, because the bishop can go back to b2. And why was bishop b2 not an option in the previous variation when we said knight takes d5 was good? Let's go back a few moves. So this was after b2, b4, and then we said knight takes d5 is actually good here. And why does bishop b2 does not work here? And that is because of knight c4, which is a very strong move, and actually this position is completely equal now. But okay, after b4, knight b7 was played, rook fe1, and now knight takes d5 is not good because of bishop b2. And there's no knight c4 anymore. So after rook fe1, black played a5. Knight b5, good move from white. White is much better, kicking the queen. Queen back to d8, and a3. Again, knight takes d5 is a move, but Carlos refuses to take that pawn. He played the knight to g4 instead, and that's not as good, Queen f4 from Trace, knight went to e5, and queen g3. And these pieces are all attacking the black king. So black has to be careful with that. I think Carlos panicked a bit here. He played g5, which is not a great move. That attack was not lethal straight away. g5 is quite a weakening move of black's king. Trace decided to take on e5, good move. D takes, and queen takes, and just has won another pawn. White is now 2 pawns up. Carlos took on b4, Trace took back, and f6. Trace decided to go and look for the endgame. He played queen c7, offering a trade of queens. Carlos accepted it. Knight takes, and rook b8. Trace wants to swap more pieces, and that makes sense. When you're material up, it's good to swap pieces, not necessarily pawns, but it's good to swap pieces in general. So he played rook a8, rook takes, knight takes, knight d6, and there goes another pawn. Now white is up 3 pawns. Rook d8, Trace decides to swap another piece. Rook takes back, and rook c1. White is 3 pawns up, 3 passed pawns on the queen side, and obviously has a winning position in his endgame. Knight f7, b5, knight e5 improving the knight, bishop f5 hitting the rook, rook c7, b6, the pawns start rolling down the board, rook b7, rook b1, king f7, d6, knight c4, d7 threatening to promote, so rook b8 was played by Carlos. That pawn goes now to b7, king e7 trying to help, rook b4 hitting the knight, knight d6 is the best move here according to the engine. Knight e5 was played by Carlos. It's still lost either way for black. c4 from Trace, and here black really should have taken on d7. He's still lost, but at least he's winning that pawn back. But Carlos was not in the mood to take pawns in this game. He played h5, c5, king d8, rook b6, king c7. There goes another pawn, and here you really have to take that pawn on b7. At least you get a pawn that's very dangerous. You can take that pawn back. Not that it will save the game, but that's what black should have done. But as I said, Carlos was not in the mood to take pawns. He played, instead of rook takes b7, he played knight c4. Bishop e4, protecting now the b7 pawn. Knight a5, c6, rook d8, rook g6, h4, f3, king b6, rook e6, and finally Carlos decides to take a pawn. There's no other way out. There's no way out anyway. Knight takes b7, and instead of recapturing, Trace played the great move rook e8. Carlos did not see a way out. He took the rook, and Trace promoted to queen. King b5, queen b8, king b4. The knight was taken. King went to a4, bishop c2, and king a3, queen b3 was checkmate. Good win from Trace against his friend Carlos. It was an interesting game, difficult opening. When to take on e5, when to take on d5. I think when Carlos gave up the bishop pair, that was not a great idea. He got a bad position then. He had one chance after this move b4 to take on d5 and get back into the game. But when he, instead of taking on d5, played his knight back to b7, that was a very bad knight. And from then on, white was in the driving seat. Won a second pawn, won a third pawn. His queenside pawn started rolling, and Trace won this game deservedly. Well done, Trace, and thank you for sending it to me. Thank you for sharing your game so that I could analyze it and publish it to the Chess to Progress community. I promise you a waiting list, and here it is. The Viewers Game waiting list. These are 71 names of viewers who sent me a game and are waiting for it to be analyzed and published on the Chess to Progress channel. So it starts with Ahmed there at the top left, then Daniel, then Miles, then Daniel, then Wilson, then Zach. And if you go to the bottom, then it starts again at the top of the second row. So that's how you have to read this table. And it ends with Jacek there at the bottom right. So if you have sent me a game and you don't see your name on this list, please let me know. Please send me an email at classroomchess64@gmail.com and I will add you to the list in the correct position. So I take the games in the order they were sent to me, and I promise I will analyze these 71 games, but also, as I said, please stop sending me new games, because I have to think about the channel. What will I do? Because, as I said, the interest in the viewers' games and in the channel in general has been declining, so I have to think of another way of getting more interest in the channel and making videos that people want to watch. Hope you liked Trace's game. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the Chess to Progress channel. Please leave a comment, and if you liked it, it would be great if you could share it on social media. Please let me know your thoughts about the Chess to Progress channel, on how you think I could improve it. You also may want to check out my Chess to Impress channel. The link is in the description box. And this is Rick for Chess to Progress. Thank you for watching.